Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. This is a reading. I figured I would do it before I finish cleaning up downstairs. Um, I usually clean and then do this, but then sometimes by the time I finish cleaning, um, I get past the time of when I usually like to read. Um, I tend to read but between midnight and 3 o'clock. Those that's like my that's the main times when I read. So um I'll start pulling out the cards. This is a Ukrainian reading. Sometimes I say some things that are happening in this part of the world. Just maybe it'll be um, if somebody wants to hear it or to get some insight. But there was a recent assassination in the US. And from both sides, I feel like for the most part, um, I was hearing that, well, I've only heard that it shouldn't, if you have different political views, it shouldn't lead to that. So there was some things that were said in terms of um, blaming the left side um, or blaming the opposite political party, but it ended up being kind of surprising because the suspect, and I don't know if like there's gonna be more clarification soon. It turned out to be a person that was a college student and was from a Christian household and Republican background, which is again kind of like the opposite. And now there's like crickets because this time around they were saying that to the Democrats, you guys just want a war and you're doing this and that. And I've seen and read some posts, but there's so much going on and trying to see like the news, and of course there's uh, speculations and stuff, and again, um, haven't not having the complete clarifications. Um, but we'll see how it goes moving forward. And there was like some videos, I'm not sure about it completely. Those weren't like surprisingly the main things that I saw, but there was something about like Trump and uh, the assassination and kind of like what happened and what was the correlation between the two. And there's like the police and uncovering things. Like the police really wanted to find out what happened. And uh, it is strange with that, but if anything did happen with that type of involvement, that um, it could be maybe eye-opening to some. I would say a lot of people didn't vote for Trump, but I know the people that I usually associate with, like they didn't vote for Trump, and then there was other times where people, well, there was like information saying that um, the real results of the last election, Kamala Harris won by a lot because a person that was working in that area did see that information that he's already sworn in, so um, he's technically legitimate right now. But again, it would be maybe eye-opening to some who put their faith in Trump and then will see that he could throw anybody under the bus if it is the, well, he thinks it would be the place to do so, and to distract from everything that is about him with other things. And I technically have like just random now at this point. Um, 2 weeks left of my course, but then I have an externship. Um, kind of living my life or starting to live my life after, or like how it is going to be after everything. Um, I am going to write an article. I just finished reading other articles and I will gather other information to um, make this about like a updated Balakun post of the things that have been going on and developed over the years uh, since it's since the organization has started. So that's exciting. Um, I'm trying to be more timely with it because, again, towards the end of the course, it just feels like they give you a lot of stuff to finish off, and um, it's kind of like the beginning of the course uh, where you're gathering a bunch of stuff, and sometimes you have to go to student services to do things and make sure you have the correct paperwork. And for my course, I needed the vaccinations. So, um, and then I had my CPR certification training, and now it's like towards the end where I did the mock interview. I handed in other paperwork for the next portion, so that's like the fingerprinting and what is it? The drug test. A lot of major arcanas, and it's interesting. There's like it looks like the beginning and the end, but it continues on. Because in the past you have the Ten of Wands, and the Ten of Wands, I don't feel like it necessarily feels more like an ending. Sorry, compared to like other tens in tarot, because like the Ten of Swords, it does feel like maybe getting that answer, maybe getting that um confirmation or ending of something, or maybe even like a mindset, um like the end of an um interaction, that type of thing. The Ten of Swords isn't here, but that was just an example. um the Ten of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles, it seems like with the cups, it seems like communal, or seems like a family type of um achievement. um Ten of Pentacles is like that, like in a way lineage too. um it could be something that's established, that was built. So the Ten of Wands does seem a little peculiar because it is a heavy weight, and you're trying to carry all this. At some points, or in some instances for readings, it might indicate that there are some things that you just don't need to um, bring with you. I I feel like when I start these sentences in this reading, it could be like the sentences seem daunting, but the way that I'm ending them isn't so daunting. So maybe there's like situations where you hear something or you do something that might be like something that you might hold off because you see or you hear, or it just feels like more strenuous than other things that you've encountered, or maybe there could be other things that you've encountered. And um, every situation, has its individual energy in a way. um, there could be things that repeat in a way, but for this reading I'm not really getting that. But there's like a lot of energy where you hear something, you're like, whoa, what? And it it's like when you move forward with it, it's uh not what it seems, or it's not like um needing to be that confrontational with it. The Ten of Wands, like out of all the wands, it does feel like there is the most to carry through, but there could be that where it's the most promising or most to look forward to in a way. Um, I said promises, so it could be something with that. Because it's not a word that I usually say specifically with the Ten of Wands, but it is an energy that makes me think there might be a going to the flow, going with the flow, because there's ocarinas in the um on the card and uh instruments, so that could be like expressive too, based off of like how it is how you can go forward with it. So that might be something to pay attention to, uh because it's not like necessarily by a book. Um, like you can read books about this, and I'm sure there's information that will be helpful, but the book isn't going to tell you your exact situation. So, um, there's something about that it almost seems like to not be so um stressed about it. There's something a little more lighthearted, like if you're playing from the heart type of thing. Um, and the overall energy that this card popped out, it's the Hermit card, Major Arcana. Um, and it is like an energy of taking that information of what you've learned and I guess like in a way regurgitating it, or like um understanding, you understand how certain things can be, uh but this isn't the past anymore in a way. Well, it isn't. So to be perceptive and mindful. um this is a working aspect too, because it's the Hermit associated with Virgo. I'm not necessarily reading with signs, but you could. um so something that just seems more proactive. The future is the Star, which is super nice. Say the present is the Death card. Major Arcana for both of them. There could be something that happens, and it's like corny in a way, but there's something that it happens for a reason. Um, and it came from somebody that maybe like you might not think to say something like that. Because when I was in class, one of my classmates, she was like trying not to cry, and the professor was asking what was going on, and she was like, her dad passed away, and um, of course the teacher was like, if you need to step out, you can. And she was saying, that my classmate was saying that to somebody else, because somebody else was talking about, um, so there's like a veteran in the class, and he's using up his benefits to just take a course. So he didn't want to take like the externship or um, like the stuff towards the end. And um, this kind of happened. I'm not a veteran, but this happened in a way with me. It was a little different, of course, where I was told by who who was helping or that worked for the program that was for the military benefits that or the veteran military benefits that you have to maintain like a C or above, and if you go below that or if you don't complete it, you have to back um pay the back because they're like, well, you didn't complete year end. So um I see there was like that going on, and I'm thinking that, well, I think it was something like he has to complete the course or they're not going to pay for it. So the externship's part of the course. So then the other person, and she's like the classmate that dad's that that her dad passed away. She's like, um, well, I know like everything happens for a reason, and so I know it's like not the ideal situation, but that was like basically what it was. So the death, it's not like fun to see death in a reading, of course. And even in the obstacle position, there's the temperance card with the six of swords. And these feel, well, the temperance is kind of like a silver lining type of card. It invokes angel energy in a way. It's also associated with Sagittarius, but um, Death, Scorpio, Star, Aquarius, um, and the Six of Swords. It's almost like finding your mental stability again, because the Five of Swords, this kind of feels like you got like trampled on or wrecked, or there's something that just seems like either you were like the other side, there was something that was taken um, and internalized, and it seems like it was maybe an intense encounter or an answer, and now the Six of Swords is trying to get your like steadiness in your mind about things, um, and then how to overcome the obstacle is the Ace of Pentacles. So 1 in 10 in this reading. So the Ace of Pentacles, does feel like there is some type of shifting with it. But it looks like there's more now than before. So maybe there's like more things to look out for. Because before in the past, even though this is more with the Ten of Wands, there's also the Ace of Pentacles where there's, it seems like multiple here, even though it's the Ace. There does seem like maybe controller stability with it. And then clarifying it is the Justice card associated with Libra. Could be more energy put into the cause. There just seems to be more energy. And just because the Death card is here, it feels like the flag like didn't change position. Like it feels almost as if it's still there, and there's an energy of like looking over, maybe overseeing, because there's the angel in this card. There's the angel in this card too. The temperance and justice. And then death, the flag is like all the way to the top. So from the mysteries of Mary, King of Roses, King of Pentacles. And then the Page of Swords, Handmaiden of Distaff. For some reason, it feels like voices needing to be heard. And there's something about the star with the handmaiden of Distaff, or the Page of Swords, that make it seem like prayers are being heard. Something along those lines. And there could be like the prevailing justice. Again, this is a Ukrainian reading, but I'll just say it quickly because I thought it was, well, something that was there. So, with the stuff that's happening in this area of the world, one of the things was like, well, for the people that did actually support Trump, they were saying that, well, some were farmers and they were thinking that the um, African Americans would go back on their farm to help them again on their farm. And the they were like, absolutely not. And there has been a lot of stress on trying to keep the farms going. Um, I feel like a lot in the Midwest, but there are others in other areas too. And it just seems that, like they were saying, the post was saying that um, God didn't answer our prayers, they answered like the prayers of others where they're the ones that voted for him, specifically like the farmers, were getting like the consequences. Which, I mean, they are consequences. It's, if you do this, then this happened. So, in terms of like things helping in the favor of people that um, want to be on the good side of history, I would say um, it's that type of justice that seems to be coming in with the Page of Swords. Those things um, surfacing or being heard. Then I have this deck, and I'll read from the Tree Angel Oracle book. It's interesting, I actually pulled this card before I started reading. Like, I didn't start the reading yet, and I just pulled a card for myself. Leadership, Archangel Gabriel. It is time for you to assume your leadership power and position and lovingly guide others. And then All is Well, Archangel Jeremiel. Everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to, which with hidden blessings you will soon understand. And then for the Tree Angel, this reading has the Sycamore. I don't know if I've ever gotten that card. So Sycamore, the Oracle, the precision of an eagle, clarity of the blue skies, power of lightning, breath of winds, the presence of your spirit gathers near and far, within or and without. The Sycamore birthplace is in the mountains, but many of the Maple family it but like many of the Maple I'm sorry. But like many of the Maple family, it has been planted to lowlands all over the world for decorative value. The whole family of maple trees, however, is robust and versatile. They do well just about anywhere, which means they can enjoy their splendor in many parts of the globe. The sycamore is always ready to boost our spiritual clarity whenever we encounter it. It helps us develop to look ahead and become less biased and are able to see when conditions are right. Clarity of thought is good, and, and good powers of concentration help us learn. Hence, education in the sense is influenced by the sycamore. With the new spiritual freedom, ideas and plans come to us effortlessly. Our self confidence grows, which on the hand gives us the ability to assert ourselves, and on the other heightens our awareness. The sycamore connects the elements of air and earth, particularly stones, so putting ideas into practice becomes easy. Enjoy being calm and cool headed, be astute without splitting hairs. Without the blessing of sycamore, we are indecisive and vague. Our outlook becomes hazy and full of doubt, although I am not quite sure about that. Certainly, we become absent minded and, well, where was I? Oh, yes, or no, maybe not. So, again, sorry, I kept messing up. Um, so, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in another video.